cut here, the last remaining piece here, and fold this piece back over into it, and then build out the inner sill into this piece as well. So we're getting there. Once I get done with that, I can move on to the floorboards inside the car and try to get those done. I realized as I was trying to put these pieces together that I had yet some more rust and another plate that needed to come out, and so you'll see me cut that out. So I finally cut the car apart from each other, and you can actually see it drop. Let's go back and watch that again. A little bit slower this time. Boop, little drop. One more time. Ooh. All right. So I went ahead and corrected that whenever I put the car back together. The spot welder does not like this thicker metal that I'm using. It just doesn't penetrate well enough and attach it to the next level of metal. So you'll see me use it throughout the videos, but I end up having to go back through and actually do plug welds on pretty much every single piece that you see here. So Harbor Freight spot welder, good for small thin metal. Once you get into the slightly thicker metals, it really doesn't work nearly as well. Thank you to Mark Reed, who sent me some pictures of the way that they redid their inner sill. I was able to use those pictures as reference to rebuild my inner sills, which is what you see whenever I cut the smaller piece here. Now, of note, whenever I attach this inner sill, I actually realized that I sort of got the piece ready to go based on where the car had somewhat drooped to, and so whenever I brought it back out, it was slightly off center. I had to do some grinding and some cutting in order to get it back to the where it needed to be. Prepare to be amazed either by my strength or unimpressed by my welding skills as I plug weld this into place and then immediately remove it. All right, round two. I went ahead and turned up the power on my welder a little bit and adjusted everything to make it a little bit better there. So I was then able to re-drill the holes in the piece and reattach it to the sill. It worked out much better this time around, the welding, so I wasn't able to just yank it off like I did last time. So my strength decreased, my welding increased. Here you can see me using the jack to bring the car back up into its position and weld the rear to the front. That way they're tied together. Once I did that, I dropped the jack out of the way and moved forward. It's not easy to see here, but I ended up having to actually add a piece back in because I cut out too much. So created the piece and then welded it in, so that way I've got a full inner sill piece. It wasn't that hard, it's just yet again another mistake that I made as I move forward on this project. Always have to clean up your mess. Literally right as I started recording. Be right back. Okay, so many mistakes were made this morning, but we'll go ahead and walk through them and show you how we continued forward. One, whenever I started welding this morning, I forgot to turn on the gas. So several of the welds didn't turn out very well. I'm never claimed to be a welder, but the first set of this, I pinked them right off. So I had to re-weld, changing a lot of the settings till I got one that I thought did a good job. I've got these done. I cut this wrong, so I had to add back in the piece and stitch it into this over here. So that's what I'm about to weld. I got that done. I've got this piece on it, and this piece is actually, I feel like it's really strong. So this corner of the car is actually going to be, I'm really happy about. I know the car settled a tiny bit whenever I did that cut this morning. That being said, I forgot to sort of maybe jack it back up and do this, so this wasn't quite in line with the way that I wanted it to be, but that'll give me a lot of extra space to sort of cut down and make for sure that I've got this set up. But we've got 3 rows of plug welds here. I've got this will go into here, and then we'll start cleaning this all up before we move into the rear arch. Before I really move on to the rest of the car, I am going to finish the this section here, as well as the front floorboard before I move forward. Before I move to the trunk, I am going to have to remove the fuel tank. It's one of those things, if the fuel tank is closed, there's no vapor, so it's less likely to cause a spark or anything like, or not a spark, but an explosion. But as I now move into the trunk, right where it's being stored, I am going to have to work on that and make for sure that I don't end up, hurting myself or burning down my house. So I'll have to take that out today, likely before I move to the trunk area. But I might have the floorboards and everything, the inner sill complete and finalized today, which is good news. I got back in, started working 5 days ago, and I've already got this much done. It took me a really long time to do that on the other side. I might be able to, like I said, get all this done relatively quickly as I'm continuing to press forward. But I just want to give you that update. And now we're back to working on the car. So I'm going to weld in that last piece here, and then I'll be able to move forward and start working on some of the other pieces. Do the surround here that goes to back here and has a little lip that curves back in here, and build that up to match here with this inner piece that I've got to put on. So I do have a new one of these, so I will be working on that. But yeah, and obviously I'll grind these down so that way they're not like sticking out like crazy. But I'm about to run out of all the initial like grinding wheels and stuff like that I originally purchased 2 years ago. So I'm gonna need to go and buy more here in the next couple days, I think. But moving right along, as you see, it's got a nice solid corner here that is so much better than what it was. I kept the old piece around. We'll have to look at it for giggles and see what it looks like. Anyway, let's get back to it. As I make this angled piece, I realize that I need almost 3 right angles. So I need one that ties into the inner sill, which you see me making here, and then another one that goes underneath and ties into the floorboard. And so that's what you see me making out of this paper. And once I get that done, I go ahead and cut it out. I will apologize for some of the camera angles on this portion of the video. I clearly wasn't paying very close attention to how the camera was pointed towards the end. But once again, 4.5-inch angle grinder, cut, and bend with the metal brake that I don't have attached to any kind of a workbench. So it just uses my body weight to hold it down while I bend it into place. It actually still works pretty well, and for the smaller 90-degree bend, I went ahead and just used pliers and bent it into the position that it needs to be in. This works out really pretty well, and I actually would still, especially if you can mount it to a solid surface, I would strongly suggest anyone getting this metal brake from Harbor Freight, as it does a good job and allows you to really put parts in the shape that they need to be put in. Once I got that done, I went ahead and drilled the holes to weld this piece in and started adding it to the rear deck tray. Well, some of those welds are anything but pretty, but grinder and paint makes me the welder I ain't, right? So I have got this rear section tied into the inner sill. The inner sill is now complete. I have one more wraparound piece to make here for the back portion before I'm completely done with that. I've started welding in the rear floorboard, and then I'll go back and do the front floorboard after that. All in all, it is going together pretty well, though slowly. I would not hire me to do a car restoration just based on the prettiness of my work alone, but I am so much happier with how incredibly strong that section of the car is compared to what it used to be. So thanks for watching up to this point. Hope to see you back on the next video. If you like what you see, go ahead and click the subscribe button. That subscribe button lets me know that I'm doing good work. Also, don't forget to set up your notifications so that way it'll notify you whenever I post a new video. Over here you're going to see my newest video. And then finally, over here is what YouTube suggests should be the next video in this series. I've got all my videos set up in different playlists, so you should be able to see and track and follow whichever projects you feel like. Thank you for watching. Get out there and work on your car, and God bless.